The rich play offense, not defense. Harv Eker. From the moment Maya decided that she would no longer shrink from opportunity, her world began to expand. At 29, the co-founder of a fledgling fintech startup, she had spent months refining her platform, tweaking features and poring over budgets. Every morning, she woke to a list of what could go wrong scenarios: server outages, cash flow gaps, competitive copycats. But one Sunday, as sunlight filtered through the curtains, she felt a shift. She realized she'd been playing defense protecting what she'd built instead of offense. Going after the markets she truly craved. That day, Maya tore up her risk aversion checklist. She replaced it with a single question on a post-it note stuck to her laptop's bezel. What bold move can I make today? She grinned as she sketched out a plan to partner with 3 established banks, tapping into their compliance expertise. In exchange for a share of transaction fees, it was ambitious and it rattled her. But every time she felt fear, she reminded herself, the rich play offense, not defense. While true wealth, she realized, came from taking calculated leaps, not sheltering. In the sidelines, across town, the Garcia family bakery was a different story of transformation. For 3 generations, they had leaned into caution. They balanced ledgers with military precision, always a 2-month cash reserve. Never more than 4 new products a year, and defiantly local ingredients. It ain't broke, don't fix it, they said. Then Rosa, the matriarch's granddaughter, walked into the shop one morning, fresh from business school, buzzing with possibilities. She asked, what if instead of waiting for customers to walk in, we take our empanadas to the city's largest food fair? Her grandmother's eyes widened. They'd never taken their recipes beyond these neighborhood streets. But Rosa did not flinch. She rallied the team, designed a bright trailer emblazoned with the Garcia crest, and negotiated booth space 6 months in advance. She forecasted sales, arranged for extra dough supplies, and trained her aunt on assembly line efficiency. On the day of the fair, their booths sold out within 3 hours. Lines snaked around the block. The family watched in awe as their cautious tradition morphed into a magnet for curious foodies. By evening, Rosa had orders for corporate catering and festival bookings across the state. The bakery was no longer defending its legacy, it was unleashing it. Meanwhile, in a sleek high-rise conference room, Marcus, a seasoned investor known for playing it safe, felt a jolt to his system. For 20 years, he'd built his portfolio on index funds, blue-chip dividend payers, and gold bars tucked away in vaults. He'd pride himself on sleep-well assets. But at his niece's wedding, he met founders championing clean energy microgrids and affordable housing fintech. They spoke with urgency about transforming communities. Marcus felt that itch in his gut, the same one that had led him decades ago to take his first private equity bet. He realized he'd slipped into defensive mode, protecting capital rather than growing it with purpose. That evening, back in his study, Marcus drafted a new mission statement: activate capital for maximum impact. He earmarked 10% of his fund for early-stage ventures aligned with environmental and social goals. It felt risky, valuations were frothy. Regulation uncertain, but playing offense meant he'd rather risk for impact than hide in complacency. He leaned into due diligence, convened expert panels, and set up quarterly workshops with founders. Within 4 months, he closed his first deal with a startup delivering solar kits to rural schools. As revenue started to flow, he felt the rush of offense, contributions that could change lives, while still delivering returns. Across these 3 worlds, Maya's startup, the Garcia Bakery, and Marcus's investment fund one, Principal Pulsed, riches spring from bold action. Maya learned that forging alliances could accelerate growth faster than scrimping on features. Rosa discovered that expanding her market was not betrayal of tradition, but its highest tribute. Marcus saw that his capital could be a force for good, not just a vault against uncertainty. All 3 had chosen offense over defense. In the ensuing months, Maya's bank partnerships unlocked compliance playbooks she'd once dreaded. Her platform rolled out new services: instant loans, subscription billing, fraud analytics, each co-developed with bank teams. Usage soared 150%. Investors who had once asked for every worst-case contingency panel asked instead, "What's your next offensive play?" She closed a Series A at twice the valuation she'd ever dared hope for. The Garcia family bakery, powered by sales data and customer feedback from the food fair, launched a mobile app for pre-orders and corporate catering. They invested in a second trailer and hired 2 pastry chefs trained in fusion recipes. Their cautious ledgers gave way to a dynamic budget. Funds reserved for experimentation, new flavors. Pop-up events, branded merch. Profits doubled in 8 months. And the bakery's story became a case study in daring to disrupt one's own legacy. Marcus's fund, rebranded as Impact Forward Capital, began accepting applications from international founders, solving critical quartal problems. Water purification startups, microloan platforms for women entrepreneurs, vertical urban farms. As he allocated more capital, he partnered with NGOs and universities, creating a pipeline of vetted opportunities. His returns beat the comparable small-cap index over a full-cycle, proof that offense, grounded in insight and conviction, could outperform timid play. But offense doesn't mean recklessness. Maya, Rosa, and Marcus all encountered setbacks. A bank merger stalled an API rollout. A supplier hiccup at the bakery spoiled a shipment. An early-stage solar company missed milestones. In each case, they didn't retreat. They analyzed data, solicited candid feedback, and adapted their approach. Playing offense meant having the agility to pivot without abandoning the bold vision by the end of the year. The 3 protagonists convened at a small business conference. Maya, on stage, recounted how ditching defensive checklists opened doors she never knew existed. Rosa led a breakout session on how a family tradition can become a growth engine when you treat it as offense-ready capital. On impact investing, urging attendees to commit at least 10% of their assets to high growth, high-impact ventures. In the audience, entrepreneurs scribbled notes, seek alliances, not just savings, turn traditions into launching pads, allocate for impact. They felt the pulse of offense humming through their veins. That night, over a modest meal in the hotel lounge, Maya, Rosa, and Marcus reflected. Each had begun the year cloaked in protective armor, budgets under lock, features in beta capital, in vaults. But wealth, true wealth, financial, emotional, socially merged when they stepped onto the offensive field. They toasted to offense, the courage to act before the storm, to seize opportunity rather than merely chance survival, to define the future instead of reacting to it. And as they raised their glasses, they felt something profound, a lifelong alliance of offense players, each committed not just to their own success, but to inspiring a new generation to play the same game. In the years that followed, their stories rippled outward. Maya's platform powered small businesses in 3 continents. The Garcia Bakery brand franchised into 5 cities, each franchisee guided by Rosa's blueprint for offense-driven growth. Marcus's capital helped launch scores of social enterprises that transformed communities and delivered market-beating returns. Their legacy was simple. Defense buys you safety. Fence delivers possibility. When you choose offense, you activate your ideas, your courage, capital in, set in motion a cycle of growth that outlasts any setback. Now imagine your own story. What bold play will you make today? Partnership, new market, mission-driven investment, or product innovation will you deploy? Remember, the rich don't huddle behind their balance sheets. They charge toward opportunity, eyes bright, hearts steady. They don't merely react to the world, they shape it. And in that shaping, they become wealthy beyond dollars, influence, impact, and legacy. The choice is yours, defense or offense. The field is set. The whistle blows. Will you? Step forward and play.